Hello, everyone, and welcome to the beta show number 3. And we got an early edition today, and I am joined by Alex from the Bitcoin comic book, and he's going to tell us about his project today. Um, Welcome to the show, Alex, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your project?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me on the show, Jamie. Yeah, basically, our project is a comic book about Bitcoin, and I shouldn't call it comic book because mainly it's a Bitcoin education project. But what we've decided to do is that we want to use the power of graphic novels and of images that can transmit really complex information in a very quick way to everyone for Bitcoin. So, and since Bitcoin is one of the most complex things to understand right now because it combines the complexity of technology, but also the complexity of finance and money. The average guy on the street really struggles to understand that. So what we decided a year ago is that we wanted to do a graphic novel about it so that Bitcoiners around the world can share their passion about Bitcoin with other people by giving them a quick and easy introduction. And the way we've done it is we have created this adventure story because we want everyone to stay hooked on the storyline. So we have created this adventure story where you have the mafia, the NSA, and a candidate to be Satoshi Nakamoto, who's being chased by them. And throughout the storyline and the different interactions of the different characters we basically explain what Bitcoin is, what money is, and how it works. And we hope that people will get interested in Bitcoin and then share it with their families, loved ones, and customers. And also that Bitcoiners would just enjoy it because there's loads of references across the book to cryptography, to Bitcoin, of course, and to other altcoins, and what the meaning and the philosophical principles are of what Satoshi created.
So, you are saying we, so I'm assuming this isn't a project that you're doing all by yourself. It must be how many people are working on this, and um, how long have you been working on it?
We started working on it like last year in October, just before the Bitcoin price rise. It was still around 100 something at that point of time, and we really didn't know how crazy it would get. I mean, well, I guess none of us knew what would happen right after that. And yeah, basically with three authors. Myself, I'm the Bitcoin script writer or the technical writer for the comic book. So I really try to make sure that we cover all the fundamental aspects that we want to transmit in an easy and fun way to the readers. And then we have two professional comic book professionals. One is the illustrator Jose Angel, and the other one is Giuseppe Busquet. He's both from Spain, and he's the script writer. I mean, he basically created the plot with like how this story should be structured.
Oh, okay, so 3 people are working on it, and so how much of the project is done already? Have you written the script and artwork, or you have a crowdfunding site that is up now, and are you trying to still write the storyline, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Basically, the graphic novel is 99% finished. We will publish it in three languages by the end of this year. I mean, November we will publish it in Spanish in Spain. We will publish it in English, and that's what we're running the crowdfunding campaign for. And recently, also, a Polish Bitcoiner arranged the purchase of the rights for Poland. So it will be published in Polish also before the end of the year. And we're also looking for publishers around the world to arrange local versions of the comic book in different languages or just for different countries because we cannot really reach all the countries. And the crowdfunding campaign we're running right now, that's really for the English edition. And what we're trying to do, since English is the main language for the internet and also for Bitcoin for the time being, we're trying really to get the Bitcoin community involved. Our strategy is to get the Swarm community, which is the crowdfunding platform that we're using, to get very much involved in the project, but also like the whole Bitcoin community. And the stronger the community involvement is in the whole project and what we're trying to achieve, which is basically growing the community through education and in an accessible and easy way, then that will allow us to make a bigger jump to the global comic book community, but also to the mainstream community, because we think anyone will be able to read this, like young people, old people of any age, because we hope that this will take away the hurdles of that people perceive about finance and technology and Bitcoin in general, because there's like loads of changes that you have to make, conceptual changes you have to make to understand Bitcoin, and we hope that many people will join us on that ride using the Bitcoin graphic novel as a tool.
Yeah, I really like the concept of the graphic novel, how it adds the action and excitement of a spy story into it, and with the fiction, and then has all the excitement of being chased. And your crowdfunding site has those videos on it and things like that. Is that something that you also have thought about, is making a video version of the graphic novel?
Yeah. I mean, it's something we would love to do, is like to do like an animated movie in the future. That would be really cool. But right now we're really focusing on just getting the graphic novel out, sharing it with the Bitcoin community, and making sure that everyone understands. Because at the first point when people hear, yeah, it's a comic book, it's like, okay, a comic book, so why should I care? But I think this is quite important for the Bitcoin community, because I think we need to create more tools and ways to reach the mainstream people. I mean, not everyone can be geek, not everyone can be a libertarian, not everyone can be interested in open source. We just need to grow the community and reach more people. And there will be so many other applications in the world for blockchain-based technologies that will really, I think we all believe, revolutionize the way we live in the next 5 to 10 years. So these are very early days, and I think this is like an introduction to what the cryptocurrency space means, and hopefully I think especially the Bitcoin users and the community will notice that and see that as a tool for them, and then also just for fun, because the way we constructed the story, I mean, like there's loads of fun elements. There's also an appendix about 100 Bitcoin personalities around the world. We have Dogecoin appearing, the Shiba Inu from Dogecoin. We have references to famous cryptographers like Hal Finney. The book is also dedicated to Hal Finney. We have different Bitcoin media appearing, like Bitcoin Magazine, CoinDesk, Funny and Tech, just to really things that help you to read the comic book in a way that sort of say, oh, I really recognize this, and so it's just like a cryptographic puzzle. So if you take it, like if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, you could really read it like twice. One time, just really reading it and understanding what Bitcoin means in a rough level, and then if you start getting deeper into Bitcoin and you read it again, then you would start seeing a lot of other messages across the comic book that would allow you to say, oh, look, now I understand what this page meant, because people didn't realize, because probably they didn't have that knowledge if they're new to Bitcoin. So it's really tackling both readerships, and they can read it in different ways over time.
Oh, very cool. And so the actual comic book itself is going to be a physical paper book, or like, will it be a hardcover deal, or?
Yeah, it will be both. We're planning to publish it in paper in Spanish, English, and it will also appear in Polish. And then there will also be probably a digital version on Comixology, which is the biggest platform for comic books, for online comic books. So it will be available on both platforms.
Yeah, that sounds really great, to be able to get it out to the widest audience possible, and the digital version plus the actual physical copies. And your website is let me see. I'm going to see if I can bring that up. Swarm.
It's swarm.co/ComicCon. That's the crowdfunding website, yeah.
Oh, come on. And this is it here. And you get these little videos. These videos don't play very well on the screen.
Okay. You can't hear the sound now because I think you have your headset plugged in, but
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to work. So,
yeah. But that's basically the video you have on the screen right now. That's the crowd sale video where we explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if you scroll lower at the end of the page, you will also see the trailer basically. Like here we have like 3 pages from the comic book in English that as a to check them out. And then if you go lower, you will see the video trailer. It's a 1-minute video trailer, and it has been quite successful. It had like 12,000 views, and yeah. And I think people really like the trailer and to understand what it means.
Yeah, this the trailer and stuff was really cool how you did that with the music and everything. It really makes it look exciting. And then you have your different levels for the crowdfunding rewards and things like that, which look pretty interesting. You can be a character in the comic book and different things for different levels.
Yeah, I mean, more than a character, it's, yeah, I mean, you appear in the comic book somewhere, so you suddenly become part of the storyline. So basically, we have 3 different levels of cameo appearances, and so you can have like, yeah, a small appearance, a middle appearance, and then a big appearance. Basically, it's on one page somewhere in the comic book you can appear then with walking or with the face or doing something in the middle of the action of whatever's happening. So it's pretty cool. Actually, we sold our first cameo appearance last week to a Bitcoiner called Hassan. He's from Switzerland, and he did the 5 Bitcoin cameo appearance. That's the cameo bronze. But if you want, I can explain you briefly how we structure the rewards and how the reward system works, because Swarm is really cool in the way of exploring Bitcoin 2.0 crowdfunding. And so basically they're using the counterparty technology. So if you want to fund the crowd sale, you need to use the counter wallet from Counterparty. And basically there are like 3 main groups. So you have like a standard copy of the comic book. So you send 0.05 Bitcoins, and then you will get a standard copy. And then the second thing you can get is like a limited edition book. So that's a limited print we will do, which will have more content. It will have a thank you page for all people participating, and that's called the Founders Edition, and the different levels for the Founders Edition. And as part of the Founders Edition, you can also choose to send comic books or the graphic novel to education institutions. So you can say, look, I want to send 5 or 10 of these to my former alma mater and to my high school or to my university or to any kind of institution where you think this will contribute, or just to yourself. You say, look, I want to get these, I want to share them with my family, so you can give them out for Christmas. So plenty of different ways of participating. And then finally you have the cameos of the different levels to appear in the comic book, and we also produce like custom-made comic books. So if you, for example, go for Cameo Gold, which is the biggest one, then we produce the super-sized big book of handmade comic book, and you will also get double copies of the Founders Editions and everything. So really all kind of different levels for depending on how people want to participate, but also basically contribute to the comic book. So eventually, if some of these things work out, we might be able to send copies to conferences in the future, Bitcoin conferences or participating conferences, to tell people more about the whole thing we're doing here.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. It's some really clever ways to do funding and different levels of doing these things. My mind's still working a little bit slow for being up this early in the morning.
Yeah.
I think I shared the link for the Swarm site on the YouTube screen, but if it didn't work, I will also put it in the description below. This is something I'm really looking forward to, and I want to read this thing, and it's going to be 120 pages long, I believe you'd read on there.
Yeah, it's 80 pages of graphic novel, and then we have another 30 pages for the appendix. So we put in different things. So we put in just a letter explaining what Bitcoin is on a high level. So once you finish the comic book, so you can, hopefully people will be more interested and then they can read about that. We put in a letter explaining what the Bitcoin Core Developers Group is and what open source means a little bit, so that people can understand a little bit about that. Then we have a whole section with photos and links and Twitter stuff from 100 Bitcoin personalities around the world. For example, we list Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, or Tony Gallippi from BitPay, and many others. And we briefly explain what those people are. And different things also we want to transmit with the appendix. So first of all, we want to transmit that this is a very global phenomenon. So it's not just an American thing or a European thing. There are really people all over the world participating in the community. Second thing we want to transmit is that the big venture capital firms and also Silicon Valley in itself and the technology community is very much behind this and very interested in the possibilities. And I believe, and I think many of us believe, that the venture capital industry recognized that this is the big next wave in fintech in disrupting the financial industry. So there are plenty of opportunities there, whatever happens. And then also just to give people a reference about at least what the key players and key companies are in the space right now. So we don't want to say go to open a wallet here and there, but if they see, oh, this is Coinbase, they're a wallet provider, an online wallet provider, well, they can test these out. So all these different companies that we're mentioning, that we're not doing advertising for them, we're just mentioning the names of the founders and the people, but that gives people an opportunity to explore all the different elements. We also mention Electrum and Multibit and other things. It's not global because the landscape of the Bitcoin community or the crypto community changes so quick that this will be outdated really quick. But at least it gives a reference and like a time step. Oh, well, look, this is some of the important stuff that was happening around that time. So when we look back at this in 3 years, we might see, oh, look, we were still talking about this, and this is not here anymore. And some stuff just, oh, look, this really became really big. So yeah, so it's really combining the adventure part of it and the fun part with education.
Yeah, the stuff does move really fast. It's interesting. From doing these shows even for a month is like a year in crypto time. It's just whiz bang. You talk about something and then a week goes by and it's like, oh, that's so outdated.
Yeah, yeah, and we noticed this already now. I mean, like some of the text, we try to update some elements, but there's some things I don't know. We had like Stellar, like from Jed McAlip. When we were writing, it was still the secret project, and now it's Stellar, and so things are moving all the time. But at least the people, I think many of them, they will still be around in a couple of years, and their projects and the things they might be working on might be different. But I think many of the people will still be around, so we will be able to see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's still the same people that are involved, and a lot of the core people just kind of switch projects and experiment with things, and you figure out what works and what doesn't work, and it's just part of the learning process, trial and error, kind of with some of this stuff, because yeah, this is a new frontier basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to add, or let me see if we have any questions. We do have a few viewers now. I think we kind of surprised everybody by coming on this early. but they'll be able to watch it on the YouTube as well. Go to the Q&A. No, we don't have any questions yet. But okay, is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I think from our side, what is really important is that to get the Bitcoin community involved. I think the project, the reason why we did it is really because we want to educate the world about Bitcoin and money, and we think that Bitcoin and money are fundamental elements to have the opportunity to create a better society in the future. Because the way the system is working right now, there's plenty of room for improvement. And yeah, and this will hopefully help us to grow the community, because, as I said, I think the mainstream people, it will take them a long time to reach the level of education that you might have right now, or many of the Bitcoiners that are very much into the Bitcoin space. So I think we need to create things that makes it much easier and speed up the process and getting them there, and understanding also some of the philosophical principles. Because if not, there's also a risk of just having blockchain-based technologies becoming commercial adventures and ventures in general, but forgetting a little bit about the origins of how this works and why it was created. And I think the whole decentralized, consensus-based aspect of it is really fundamental, and we should aim to keep on working on that and taking advantage of it for improving society overall.
Yeah, I agree. The decentralization part is key to the whole thing, I think. And you know, you and I were talking about the World Crypto Network before we went live, and how we're doing this more on a decentralized, voluntary basis, and you can participate in the network and do as much as you want to be involved, and you can just, and if you don't want to be involved, you can just leave. So it's part of a new paradigm in how you participate in things, and I think more and more people are coming to realize that it's just a nicer way of doing things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of sometimes a lot of frustration around the world in working with centralized hierarchical structures, and Bitcoin and blockchain-based technologies in general, they really offer possibility in exploring new ways and how you can live your life in a different way, even if you can't do it full time, but at least step by step. And I think the Bitcoin is just one example, and I think there will be many more over time, that how we can improve our lives by having different organizational structures that are more adaptable to human needs, because the organizational structures we have right now still come from the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution was more about mechanization and having machines. And that's also one of the facts that we see in society overall, is that people are being treated like machines, and and that has all kind of weird and strange and bad effects on human health, mental and physical. So I think it's one possible and eventually a good way to make a more human-friendly society. Right now, I think just the structures we have right now, they don't leave much room for that.
Yeah, and yeah, what you were saying too about the making it easier to educate people about the way the blockchain technology and stuff works, because when I first started looking into Bitcoin and stuff, I really dove into it, and I mean, I was spending 18-hour days trying to just solely on Bitcoin and learning it and figuring it out, because when I want to learn something, I mean, I just get tunnel vision and focus solely on one thing until I figure it out to my satisfaction. And I mean, it was just day after day, I was just glued to reading on the computer about Bitcoin and learning everything I possibly could about it and watching YouTube videos. So if there's easier ways to do it than that, and finding, bits and pieces of scattered information, that's the one thing that decentralization isn't good for, is you don't want to shred up information that you're trying to give one person and then say, go find it. If you're trying to learn something, it's very difficult to learn something that's distributed. But it's good when it's just a different way to do things for other types of deals. So centralization for learning and putting information in one spot is a good idea, but it's also a good idea to distribute that information and have more than one copy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just to mention, I forgot to mention that is this, as part. I mean, that's really one of the cool things that we're doing with Swarm, is that we're issuing 3 types of coins. So one which is called Comic Book, which is like a redeemable coin for a copy of the comic book. Then we're issuing Comic Special, which is for the Founders Edition, which is the limited edition of the comic book, also redeemable. And the third thing is really cool. That's the Comic Coin. So Comic Coin, for any person that buys any of the versions of the reward we have, the Comic Coin, and the Comic Coin will allow you to vote on some aspects of the comic book. So we will put out a voting on what the cover should be that the comic book should have. We will put out a vote on the title the comic book should have, or make different proposals, and people will be able to vote on that. So this is, for myself, also one of the very first but also interesting experiments we can do with meta coins. But how to use them, and combining it with physical aspects from the world, like a physical copy of the comic book, but managing in a decentralized way with digital tokens that people can use to share their opinion and views and vote on them. And then finally, what we're planning to do is to, for each Comic Coin holder, we plan to give them like 5% of the derivative net revenue that might be generated in the next 5 years. So that means, for example, if there's a movie that is made and Hollywood buys the movie rights for the comic book, all Comic Coin holders, they would get in the next 5 years 5% of the net revenue that would be generated by any income that it would get. And that's also an interesting way to play around with these things. I don't know if it will happen, but if it happens, that would be really cool to try it out and see what happens with the Comic Coins.
Yeah, you've really thought about this quite a bit. To
share their opinion and views and vote on them. And then finally, what we're planning to do is to... I think we had someone joining. We plan to give them like 5% of the derivative net revenue that
Oh, had to mute him.
Okay.
Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, we had Frau Lewis join us from Thailand. He got here a bit late, and we're just finishing up. But I think we'll wrap this up now, and I want to thank you for coming on the show and explaining some of this stuff. It's a very well thought out and interesting project, and I will add the links to your website and stuff down in the show description, and where people can go and sign up for the crowdfunding and more information about the project and how they can get involved and donate some money to the show. And if you like these type of shows and stuff from me, you can donate to my Bitcoin address up here somewhere. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.